All right, so get this. Halle Berry, the picture of health. And she seems ageless, right? Well, she's been on the ketogenic diet for 30 years. I mean, most diets fade after what, like a few months? So what's her secret? What's allowed her to stick with it for decades? That's what we're diving deep into today.
It's fascinating for sure. We've got a bunch of articles like from Women's Health, The Independent, and Birdie. Plus, we found this Reddit discussion from Keto Science.
Mm.
And people are really going at it, debating all the pros and cons.
And there's an extra layer here. Halle Berry credits keto not just for, managing her diabetes, but also for her energy and youthful looks. So is this all hype or is there something real here? Let's unpack this.
Okay, well, first, just a quick reminder for anyone who's new to this. The ketogenic diet, or keto for short, is it's about changing your body's main fuel source, from carbs to fat.
Okay, so think of your body like a hybrid car. It can run on gas, so carbs,
Mhm.
or electricity, so fat. But not both at the same time. Keto's like flipping the switch to electric mode. You're forcing your body into this state they call ketosis.
Exactly. And when you're in ketosis, your body starts burning fat for energy instead of that glucose from carbs.
Yeah.
And this is what supposedly leads to all those things, like weight loss and stable energy, all the benefits that Halle Berry's always talking about.
Makes sense. But it does sound kind of intense. Let's go back to Halle Berry's story, though. She was diagnosed with diabetes when she was 22, which, as you can imagine, was life-changing.
Yeah, for sure. And this diagnosis led her to really embrace, that keto lifestyle.
Mm.
And she's been really open about what she eats. So let's take a peek into her daily routine, her keto day. But instead of going through every single ingredient, let's focus on those, the keto principles at work.
Sounds good. So she starts her day with, you guessed it, coffee. But it's not just any coffee. It's that bulletproof coffee.
Now, this is interesting because she adds butter and MCT oil,
Yeah.
which is a special kind of fat,
Mm.
that's quickly converted to energy. So remember that electric mode? It's like giving your body this, like, supercharge right from the start.
So no toaster cereal for her. Doesn't she get hungry?
Well, that's the thing with keto. It's all that high fat and protein. It helps you feel full, for longer. So those carb cravings, they're supposed to diminish over time.
Interesting. Okay, so what about lunch? I know she's a big salad person.
Huge salads, yeah.
Yeah.
Loaded with veggies, avocado, olive oil, and some protein, like chicken or fish. Again, it's about prioritizing healthy fats and protein, keep those energy levels stable.
No sneaking in croutons, I guess. What about dinner?
Similar theme, really. Grilled veggies, maybe some plant-based protein, sometimes cauliflower mash, like as a substitute for mashed potatoes. It's almost like she's found keto-friendly versions of all her favorite things.
Clever. But what about those late night snacks? Doesn't she ever get those cravings?
She says she doesn't really snack much. But if she does, it's like a handful of seeds or maybe some pale chips, something salty, satisfying, but that still fits within, that keto framework.
So basically, no sugar, ever. That's some serious willpower. But she does talk about, enjoying red wine sometimes. Doesn't that kick you out of electric mode?
That's a big misconception. Alcohol, especially sugary drinks, they can disrupt ketosis for sure. But Halle Berry's got a specific approach. She chooses these natural red wines, you see. They're lower in sugar and alcohol content.
So not a complete no on alcohol, but it's more about, like, being mindful and making informed choices. Sounds like it takes a lot of planning and discipline.
It definitely requires a big change, I'd say, a change in your mindset and your habits. It's something that Stephanie Nasso, a journalist from The Independent, discovered herself, actually.
Mm.
She tried Halle Berry's keto diet for a whole week.
Yeah.
And, well, let's just say she had a bit of a roller coaster of an experience.
Oh, tell me more. What happened?
So at first she had some of those, those pretty typical side effects, the keto flu, nausea, headaches, fatigue. It's like her body was going through this major detox, switching fuel sources.
Oof, not fun. Did she stick with it, though?
Yeah, she did for the whole week. And after like a few days, that keto flu went away. And she started feeling more energized, even noticed some weight loss. But in the end, she just decided it wasn't for her, long term. The restrictions felt too limiting, and she missed the variety of foods she was used to.
So even if it works, it's not like a magic bullet. It's got to fit your lifestyle, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where those experts from The Independent, their opinions come in. Some of them are a bit cautious about the potential long-term effects of keto, like hormonal changes or nutrient deficiencies. It's a good reminder that any major changes to your diet should be approached thoughtfully, ideally with guidance from a healthcare professional.
Makes sense. Speaking of different opinions, that Reddit discussion, the one from Keto Science, is just this fascinating mix of viewpoints.
Oh yeah, there's everything. From people who swear by keto, they say it's amazing for managing their type 2 diabetes, to others who are worried about the long-term risks, like heart health. There's even a debate about whether Halle Berry really has type 1 or type 2 diabetes, which, are completely different.
Oh, wait, really? I hadn't heard that. But I mean, her experience still shows that, diet can be this powerful tool for managing diabetes, whatever type it is.
Definitely. But it also shows just how important it is to do your own research and talk to those healthcare professionals, before you make any drastic changes.
Good point. And that Reddit thread also goes into the social challenges of keto, Like, how do you navigate restaurant menus, deal with temptation, answer all those questions from friends and family?
It's definitely a real thing to consider,
Yeah.
especially if you're thinking long term. Keto needs a lot of planning, commitment, and often some creative thinking just to make it work in real life.
So it's not just about willpower then. It's about having a system, a support network, and I guess a few go-to keto-friendly recipes up your sleeve.
For sure. It's about finding those strategies for those tricky situations without feeling deprived or like you're always breaking the rules.
Right.
Some people find a more flexible approach helps, with some occasional indulgences. Others are more into the stricter approach.
So it's all about finding that sweet spot, what works for you in the long run. But speaking of sweets, there's one detail I'm dying to get to. That Birdie article, it has a whole list of Halle Berry's go-to keto recipes.
Interesting. I guess we'll have to save that delicious deep dive for our next segment.
You got it. Stay with us, folks. We'll be right back after a quick, well, not a coffee break for us, I guess. Maybe some keto-friendly tea. Okay, so we're back, and I'm ready to peek into Halle Berry's keto kitchen.
Let's see what kind of culinary delights are waiting for us.
Well, this Birdie article, it really paints a picture, It seems like she's figured out how to make keto both healthy and enjoyable.
That's the key, right? If you want to stick with something, it can't feel like you're depriving yourself.
Right, exactly. So one of her go-to lunch recipes is this Keto Club salad. It's got hard-boiled eggs, tomatoes, cucumbers, cheddar cheese, and romaine lettuce, all tossed in this creamy dressing. It's made with sour cream and mayonnaise and herbs.
Those classic club flavors, right?
Right.
But with that keto twist, and notice how she's still getting plenty of protein and healthy fats.
Exactly. And she loves this Arctic char recipe. It's got this olive salsa, so it's flaky fish with a bright Mediterranean vibe.
I love that she's incorporating different cuisines and flavors into her keto plan.
Totally. It shows that keto doesn't have to be like boring or restrictive. There's room for creativity, enjoyment.
Absolutely. And if you're vegetarian, she has this recipe for loaded zucchini skins.
Ooh, those sound like really comforting. What's in them?
They're roasted zucchini boats, basically,
Yeah.
filled with this cheesy, savory mixture.
Clever. I gotta try that one. What about snacks? Did they mention any of her go-to keto snacks?
Well, she likes these prosciutto and arugula roll-ups. Super simple, elegant, a perfect keto-friendly little bite.
Packed with protein, healthy fats. It's making me rethink, my usual snacks.
That's the thing about trying new ways of eating. It really opens your eyes, makes you question those assumptions.
So true. But, all this talk about Halle Berry's diet is great and all, but I do want to circle back to those potential long-term effects, the ones the experts were mentioning. What are the concerns exactly?
Well, some studies, they suggest that doing keto for a long time, it might lead to some hormonal changes, particularly in women. Because when you drastically cut carbs, it can mess with your hormone production, which could affect things like menstrual cycles or even fertility.
Okay, that's definitely something to think about. And what about nutrient deficiencies? How does that factor in?
Well, when you restrict whole food groups, like fruits, certain veggies, it does increase the risk of not getting all those vitamins and minerals.
Yeah.
The essential ones. Even if you plan carefully, it can be tough to get everything you need on keto.
So it's not just about like weight loss or energy then. It's about understanding how it might affect your whole health, right?
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to talk to your doctor.
Yeah.
Honestly and openly before you start making any big dietary changes, especially one as restrictive as keto.
Good advice. But what about the benefits? I mean, Halle Berry seems to be doing amazing on keto, even after all these years. How do we square that with the potential risks?
Well, it's important to remember that we're all different. What works for one person won't necessarily work for another. And Halle Berry, she has access to a lot of resources, a lot of support that, most people don't. I'm sure she's got nutritionists, trainers, doctors all monitoring her health, making adjustments.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's easy to see a celebrity and think, oh, I can do that too. But their experience isn't always the same as ours.
And even with all those resources, there's still some uncertainty, right?
Hmm.
We just don't have enough long-term data on keto to say for sure whether it's safe or sustainable for everyone.
So it's all about like weighing those benefits and those risks and making decisions based on, your individual needs, your circumstances.
Exactly. And being mindful of those potential biases in the information we're getting. Celebrities often endorse stuff for money. And even research, scientific studies, they can be influenced by funding or research agendas.
So it goes back to that critical thinking we talked about, questioning those assumptions,
Yeah.
getting different perspectives, not just taking everything at face value.
Exactly. And being honest with ourselves about why we're doing something. Are we choosing this diet because it's really right for us?
Yeah.
Or are we just trying to, I don't know, fit in, achieve this like unrealistic ideal?
Right. Those are some tough questions, but I think they're really important to consider.
Absolutely. And remember, health is a journey, right? Not a destination. It's about making those choices that support our well-being in the long run,
Yeah.
physically and mentally.
This brings us back to that Reddit discussion. Remember how some people were talking about their experiences with keto for managing their type 2 diabetes?
Yeah. And it's such a great example of, the power of sharing experiences, getting different perspectives. I mean, research is great, but hearing those firsthand accounts from people who are, actually living with these conditions, so illuminating.
It makes the science feel real, and it reminds us that there are like actual people behind the data and the studies.
Exactly. And it can help us feel less alone, more empowered to, make those decisions about our own health.
Speaking of empowerment, I thought it was really interesting in the Reddit thread how they talked about the social challenges of keto, like how do you deal with those awkward moments when you're the only one not eating pizza or a birthday cake?
Right. It's a real concern for a lot of people.
Yeah.
The pressure to fit in, it can be intense. It can feel, isolating to be the odd one out.
Yeah. Some people were sharing their tips for dealing with it, like bringing their own keto-friendly dish to potlucks, or just, politely saying no to food without making a big deal.
It's about sticking to your choices.
Right.
But without making other people feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Or judged.
And having that support system, right? Friends and family who get it, who can encourage you.
Totally. That support is so important for any lifestyle change, especially something like keto.
Okay, so we've covered a lot here. We talked about Halle Berry's experience with keto, dug into the science, even looked at the social and emotional sides of, making this kind of choice. What's your overall take on this deep dive?
Well, I think it's been fascinating. It's a complex topic and often, controversial. We've seen the good and the bad, heard all sorts of opinions. And in the end, I think it comes back to personalized approaches, critical thinking.
I agree. And even though Halle Berry's journey is unique and might not work for everyone, there's still some good lessons there.
Absolutely. I mean, her dedication, her commitment to finding what works for her, her willingness to share her journey, even the tough parts, it's inspiring.
So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, what's the one thing you'd want our listener to take away?
Oh, that's a tough one. I guess it's realizing that, there's no one-size-fits-all answer when it comes to health and well-being.
That's a great point. It's about, figuring out what works for you, your body, your lifestyle.
Exactly. And approaching those choices, those dietary choices, with curiosity, with informed skepticism, and most of all, self-compassion.
Beautifully said. And on that note, we'll leave you to think about your own why and to keep exploring this amazing world of health and well-being. Okay, so deep divers, time to come back up to the surface and think about everything we've learned about Halle Berry and her 30 years on keto.
Yeah, it's been quite the journey, huh? From like bulletproof coffee to the keto flu, from those expert opinions to all those Reddit debates.
We even got to peek into her keto kitchen, which, let's be real, is way fancier than mine.
But it shows that healthy eating, even on a strict diet like keto, it can still be, delicious, diverse. It's not just kale chips and sadness all the time.
Exactly. But the big question is, what does this all mean for us, the listeners? What can we actually take away from Halle Berry's experience?
Well, I think the biggest lesson, no matter what you think about keto, is that personalized health thing. Halle Berry didn't just follow some trend, right? She adapted keto to work for her and kept it going for decades. That's pretty amazing.
That's a good point. It's easy to see someone like her, someone so iconic, and think, oh, I should do that too. But we all have, different bodies, different lifestyles,
Yeah.
even different goals.
Right. What gives one person tons of energy might give someone else, digestive issues. And
Yeah.
it's a reminder to really think critically about all that health information out there, whether it's from celebrities or experts or even our friends.
So how do we even start to figure out what's right for us? It feels like kind of overwhelming with all the different opinions and stuff.
Oh, for sure. It's a journey, not like a quick fix. Start by getting curious about yourself,
Yeah.
your own body,
Yeah.
your habits, what makes you feel good. Experiment. Talk to your doctor. And don't be afraid to change things up as you go.
It's like they say, comparison is the thief of joy.
Right. If we just focus on Halle Berry's success without really understanding why it works for her, it could just make us feel bad. We need to find our own why. Exactly. And speaking of why, Halle Berry's dedication to keto, it shows how important it is to have a strong motivation. For her, it was managing her diabetes, keeping her energy up.
Yeah.
What's your driving force, for making those healthy choices?
Good question. It's something to think about. But I guess once you have that clarity, it's got to be easier to make those choices, like saying no to that extra dessert or making time for exercise.
For sure. And even those small changes, if you do them consistently, they can lead to big results. It's not about being perfect. It's about making progress.
Halle Berry's story also reminds us that it's not always easy. Remember how that journalist, Stephanie Nozo, she got the keto flu?
Oh, yeah. There are going to be those bumps in the road. Even Halle Berry probably had tough times. It's about being able to, to get through those tough times and finding what works for you.
That's where that support system is so important, right? Friends, family, even online communities. Sharing your journey, getting advice, it can really make a difference.
Definitely. Health isn't just about, what we eat. It's about the community around it, sharing recipes, celebrating, even commiserating when things are tough.
Yeah.
And it makes it more fun and helps you stick with it.
So to wrap up our deep dive into Halle Berry and her keto life, what's the final thought you want to leave with our listener?
Well, I'd say be curious, be informed, be kind to yourself, and most importantly, be your own advocate. Your health journey it's yours, and it deserves, wisdom and compassion.
Well said. And on that note, deep divers, we'll leave you to think about your own why and keep exploring this big world of health and well-being. Until next time, keep diving deep.